Hey guys, welcome back. It's Missy. Today I thought we would talk about anger, why you're so angry, and what to do about it. I'm pretty sure if you looked up anger in the dictionary, my family portrait would be right next to it. If you are someone where anger is the first emotion that comes out, or you explode at the littlest things, you have a hard time communicating your feelings, this video is for you. How you learn how to express your emotions is based on your upbringing. So as a child, if you were taught that you were not allowed to express your emotions, your feelings were invalidated, you're shown your emotions didn't matter, you were shown aggressive or abusive behaviors, you were taught to suppress your emotions, you were taught not to show any type of emotion, or you were not encouraged to talk about your emotions, that usually leads to anger. Because when you're suppressing your emotions, it just keeps getting buried deeper and deeper. So that's eventually going to cause you to explode. If you are someone where your first reaction is anger or to react violently, whether it's your words or with your actions, you most likely were not taught how to healthily express your emotions. Now, anger and the way you express anger is a learned behavior. So if you grew up with a parent or a caregiver that was very angry and they expressed a lot of anger, you may then take that on. As well as if you had a caretaker or parent that didn't express their emotions, you will then learn not to express your emotions. As well as maybe you felt like it wasn't a safe place to express your emotions. You were told you're too sensitive, or you were punished for having emotions. That all eventually leads to anger. That leads to anger because the lack of validation or the inability to express yourself and your emotions causes you to suppress them, which then causes anger to come out, because anger is a secondary emotion. The first emotion is usually covered up by the anger. The actual emotion you may be feeling is sadness, confusion, frustration, or fear, but the emotion that comes out is just anger. If you feel like you're not allowed to express your emotions, you will then feel like it's not safe. And then you will do whatever it takes to protect yourself and protect your emotions because you feel like you're in danger. Or you feel like your emotions are not allowed and is not a safe thing to express your emotions. So what are some of the reasons why you are angry? One of the major ones is that you have a hard time communicating. So if you were taught to suppress your emotions, or you were taught you were not allowed to have emotions, you then become unaware of your genuine emotion. So the first thing that may come up is anger, but you are feeling something else underneath that. Like I had mentioned, sadness, fear, hurt, pain, unfairness, whatever it is, you are gonna have a hard time identifying what it is because of the suppression. So let's say if you were to have an anger attack and someone said, hey, what's wrong? You would just kind of go on and on about your anger. And then if someone really dug deeper, like, okay, but what about that's making you angry? You may have a hard time identifying what about it is making you angry. You may be actually feeling hurt or sad about it, but you are having a hard time identifying it because you just think that you're angry and you're pissed off. If you were not really taught how to communicate as a child, you will then have a hard time communicating to others about your feelings and your wants and needs. So you can come across as misunderstood, which then again makes you more angry. The first or only thing that may come out is anger because you don't know how to healthily communicate what it is that's going on. And also it may be the only thing that you know. If you grew up with people that just yelled and were angry all the time, you're gonna think that's normal and that's how you communicate. So what do you do about this? The first thing is to recognize when you're feeling angry. Recognize that first symptom of like, oh no, like I feel rage going across my body. I feel like I'm about to scream. I feel like I'm about to throw something, and stop yourself. Stop yourself from doing it. And then take a deep breath. And I think it's really important for you to identify the feeling that you are feeling. So what is really helpful that I tell my clients is to go and write in a journal. So journal, like ask yourself questions, get really deep in there. Say, okay, what am I actually feeling? Become self-aware. What has actually just happened that I'm so angry about? Do I feel out of control? Do I feel misheard? Am I being triggered by a past trauma? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Do you need help with something? Then when you identify it, determine what you need to do for yourself. Do you need to express this emotion to somebody? Do you need to allow yourself to maybe feel sad for a second and then pick yourself back up? What it is that you need in that moment to help with that emotion that you are feeling. Ask yourself the questions. Get deep to the root. Figure out the steps to take care of that problem. And if you can't take care of it in that moment, try to see how you can see it from a different perspective. Or maybe you need to ask for help. Just understand that it's not like when you were a child. It is a safe place now where you can express your emotions because you are choosing who you are talking to and how you're communicating. The next thing is there may be undealt with resentment. Unfortunately, life is unfair and people will mistreat us. You may notice that you are triggered to react with anger around certain people more than others. And they may be people that you resent, or maybe even people that trigger you to remind you of the person you resent. Resentment especially happens when someone mistreats us and we are not able to express it to them, or we feel like that person didn't acknowledge us or fix it in some sort of way. So if you're not able to express yourself to the person that has hurt you, or you are not able to get acknowledgement from that person, it's going to create a lot of ill feelings. And the thing to counteract resentment is actually forgiveness. People misunderstand forgiveness where they think that forgiveness means you're letting the other person off the hook. But that's not the case. Forgiveness doesn't mean you forget what that person does, but it means you don't harbor it within yourself anymore and let it control you. Because think about it, you resenting that person, does it affect their life in any sort of way? Maybe a little bit, but most of the time, you are the one that is suffering. You are the one that's angry. You're the one that's carrying around this burden, and you are the one that's hurting. So forgiveness is more for yourself than the other person. So you don't necessarily have to get acknowledgement from a particular person for you to forgive. You can give it to yourself. So what you can do is you can write a letter to that person where they won't see it, because there's clearly a reason why you can't express it to them. They're not acknowledging you. So it's not for them to see it, but it's for you to just write out everything. You make sure to get everything out, all of your anger out. You make sure to get all the pain and the negativity. Be as negative as possible. It's important you be as negative as possible. Think of the worst thing that's ever came to your mind and just let it all out. Without judgment. Don't judge yourself and say, oh, I can't say that. I don't want someone to see this. Just write it all out. Figure out what is making you so resentful. When you get deeper into it, you may actually be surprised what it is, or you may already know. The important part is to get deep in there and figure out what is the root cause of your resentment. Then what you do is you burn it. That way to release all of it. And it's very freeing when you do burn it. When you see all of that negativity burning away. I sound like one of those people that likes to start fires. What are they called? A pyromaniac. But it's not that. After you express all of your emotions, you then write a letter to you from them of what you wish they would have said to you, acknowledging you, feeling like you're understood, seeing from their point of view, hearing all the things that you wish that you would have heard from them. And then at the end, you say, I forgive and I release you. And then you are able to move forward because you are not holding on to that resentment. And you are able to see them from a different light, maybe a more compassionate light, a more forgiving light. You may need to do this a couple times or with a couple people. And it's important that you revisit those times of when you felt resentful so you can go get past it. You can visualize how you wish it would have went or how you wish they would have treated you just to heal from it. On top of that, you also may need to reevaluate who's in your life. Is this person you resent deserving of being in your life? Have they hurt you so much that maybe they're triggering you to be someone that you're not? Another thing that causes anger is anxiety and depression. This one is me. If you've seen my anxiety video, you know that one of my major symptoms is that I become really irritable and angry. I know it could be weird because anxiety is usually associated with panic and depression is usually associated with sadness. But like I mentioned, if you are not someone that expresses your emotions, the first thing that's going to come out is anger. You may not show your nervousness. Like for me, when I'm having anxiety, I don't show people that I'm panicking. Like no one see me in a full-blown panic attack because I hide it. And the first thing that will come up is irritability. Like I'll snap or I'll just be like, stop. Like I'm very on edge. Also, same thing with depression. You may be feeling really sad, but you're not maybe aware that you're sad. Just anger is coming out and you're very frustrated and pissed off at life. When in reality, you're just sad and you need help. As well as you feel hopeless and you're struggling. And when you're feeling helpless, it can cause anger. You feel like it's unfair and you feel frustrated and you feel overwhelmed and you don't know what to do. Sigmund Freud said depression is anger turns inward. So what that means is that you are taking everything and internalizing it, which is causing more depression. You can actually just be very stuck in your head and you're very scared, but it's just coming out as anger instead. What can you do about it? First, recognize that you have anxiety. Recognize that you are panicking, you're nervous, you're scared, whatever it is. And maybe if someone's close by, you can let them know, like, hey, I'm acting irritable, but I'm having a lot of anxiety. You can communicate with someone. It's also really important that after you recognize that you're having anxiety, you calm yourself down. You take a deep breath, you calm yourself down, and you recognize, like, okay, this is my anxiety thought. It's not what's actually happening. I'm not gonna believe my anxious-based thought. I'm not gonna believe my fear-based thought. And I'm going to focus on what I do know. I know that I can handle anything. I know I'm gonna be okay. The thing with anxiety is that even if, let's say, something really scary is happening, you're still visualizing it to be a way that you don't even know if that's how it's gonna 100% go. So no matter what, you want to make sure that you calm yourself down and you don't believe those fear-based thoughts. I will leave my anxiety video down below. And then with depression, like ask yourself, okay, what am I feeling? Am I feeling sadness? Recognize if you maybe need help and reach out for help. With either of those things, it's a need for a change in your thought patterns. And that's the first place to start. Speaking of thought patterns, another reason why you may be angry is because you have negative thought patterns as well as you're very pessimistic. As well as you're very pessimistic. If you are someone that thinks worst case scenario, but then explains it as you're thinking in a realistic way, you most likely are pessimistic. A lot of times people are pessimistic, not only because it's learned, but also it's a way to protect themselves from any type of outside pain. If you're pessimistic, you will say negative things about others. You will think in a negative light. So your thought patterns will immediately go to the negative side. The glass is half empty. You may be miserable and unhappy, which leads to anger. Staying in those negative thought patterns and being pessimistic makes you pretty miserable, which then makes you react with anger or just being an angry person. If you don't feel like there's any positivity in your life, who wouldn't be angry if they felt like life sucks all the time? What can you do about this? Well, first, catch who you're around. So if you're around people that are dragging you down, you may need to not be around those people so much, as well as not focusing on other people's, not saying negative things about other people, focusing on yourself and catching yourself when you're about to say negative things or you're saying negative things. Instead of saying something negative, change your thought pattern with something positive. The thing is, when you are a negative, pessimistic person, your neural pathways are open so that way you say negative things. So the first thought will be something negative. So if you start to say something positive and you focus on positive, you are more grateful, you focus on the moment, and you practice gratitude, that neural pathway, that positive neural pathway will open up so that way it starts to strengthen, well, you will be more positive. Pessimism and negative thinking is something that is strengthened for years and years and years, maybe even starting as a kid. So you want to unstrengthen that negative neural pathway and strengthen the positive neural pathway. So for every negative thing you say a couple positive things. Let's say, for instance, it's raining. You're like, oh, it's raining, here we go again, it's a miserable day. Try to say something positive, like, at least I woke up today and I got to have my favorite breakfast and I can always dance in the rain. You know, those, girly quotes. Learn to make negative situations positive. And also, you may be having a moment where you just need to be negative. So set time aside to allow yourself to be negative, but as long as it's not too long. Catch yourself when you're being negative for too long and pick yourself back up. Being stuck in negativity is also a sign that you didn't learn how to self-soothe, or you didn't learn how to be nurturing towards yourself. So you may need to also learn how to self-soothe and pick yourself back up when things are going wrong or you're feeling unhappy. Change your thought patterns and try not to be so grumpy so often. Recognize when you're being pessimistic and change that thought. Change that attitude. And the last thing is, you may feel like you lack control in your life. Feeling like you don't have control can cause you to feel unsafe, like you have a loss of security. And when we don't feel like we have security, we panic. One of our basic needs is to feel secure. I forgot to mention, if you feel out of control, you will try to hold on to anything you can control. So if your security is being threatened, your fight or flight is going off, and you may feel like you need to fight. So that is why you'll become angry, because you're feeling like you need to fight for your life and gain control in any way you can. So if there are things that are going on in your life and you feel like you don't have control over it, your first reaction may be to react with anger. Like, this isn't fair, I don't want this to happen, and you will have an anger attack, because at least the thing you can control is how you express yourself. So what can you do about it? Focus on the things you can control, which one of the things you can control is the way you react to situations. So instead of reacting with anger, react in a calm manner and maybe let go of some of the things that you can't control. So you can't control other people, you can't control what life throws at you, you can't control the unknown, but you can control the way you react to it. You can control how you express yourself, you can control what you wear, you can control what you're interested in, you can control the people you surround yourself, not the people themselves, but the people you surround yourself with, and what you do with your time. Recognize when you're feeling that out of control feeling, and then focus your attention on things you can control. And you may need to set boundaries with yourself and others. So maybe feel like you're in unhealthy relationships, set those boundaries to protect yourself, because that does give you a form of control and make you feel empowered rather than feeling helpless. So don't give your power away. Although you may not be able to control certain things in your life, you still can have control over yourself and the way you react to things. What do you guys think? Do you deal with anger or have any other tips to deal with anger? Leave it all in the comments below. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And share this with someone that you think may need it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye, guys. Why does the girl sound like she is getting stepped on half the time? I'm gonna bring her in here. I don't remember what they're called. Okay, Google. What is it called when you start fires? I really hope this is recording. Can you imagine if it wasn't? Feeling like that you were then feeling.